I am gonna be making a week's worth of meals for 2 people for only $70. Okay, so here are the rules. I only can spend $70 and I have to make for 2 people breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all of the work days. The meal's gotta be easy and convenient to prepare. And this is the hard part. From my pantry, my beautifully well-stocked pantry, I only can use salt, black pepper, and cooking oil. And it's gonna be really tough based on the pantry. I love spices and condiments and seasonings and all types of things, but those require investment and those cost money. And if I had to pick, am I gonna buy a whole vegetable over a jar of spices, I might pick the veggie. I am very impressed with this shopping haul. Like, this is way more than I thought because I like to cook steak and I like to cook salmon. So if I spent $70, I could have spent it on like a handful of things, but this is a pretty decent spread. This all came out to $70.
So here's the 5-day meal plan. With $70, I have enough ingredients to cook 3 meals a day for the work week. I'm gonna show you guys how to create a couple different dishes by repurposing leftovers and doing what I like to call element prep.
I've never been like a hardcore meal prep person. I like to do something called element prep, where I will prepare certain components so that I can use in different meals throughout the week. I like cooking. I like that ritual. I just don't want it to be long. So by doing element prep, I can now have a meal ready in like 10, 15 minutes. Soup, dump these things in a pot. Salad, put these things in the bowl. And then I can have these like quick and easy meals throughout the week. First thing I'm gonna do is make meatballs. I'm gonna dice up some onions and some garlic and mix that in a bowl with the ground beef, a couple of the Italian sausage. This is a great way to add flavor to my meatballs without having to rely on loads of spices. I'm also going to add in a couple eggs, some breadcrumbs, some milk to keep it nice and moist, salt and pepper. I'm gonna shape the meatballs to be kind of medium size. That way they can be versatile and go in different dishes. They're gonna roast in the oven until they are golden brown. I'm also gonna be making some chicken. This chicken is inspired by a Senegalese dish called yassa poulet. It's very simple. Chicken thighs go in a bowl along with a lot of onions. Season it well with salt, pepper, and a couple spoonfuls of Dijon mustard, a little bit of lemon juice, and olive oil. Give that a good mix and put it onto a baking sheet, placing the chicken on top. I'm also gonna roast up some carrots right next to it, seasoning with some salt, pepper, and olive oil. So while those 2 trays are in the oven, I wanna get started on a lentil rice. I wanna make sure all the components of my meals have some sort of nutrition to it. So instead of cooking just plain white rice, lentils were a really affordable way to up the nutritional value. I'm gonna boil the lentils in some salted water by themselves just because they do take longer to cook than the rice. Drain that off, and then in the same pot, saute some onions and olive oil, add in the rice, the lentils, and some water, cover and cook until the rice is done. Let's start with breakfast. Today I'm having eggs. I made a really simple wrap, just scrambled eggs with a little bit of feta, and then just like half of one of the lavash. Grilled it up, and it's like a little egg toasting. So fluffy. If I could just put a little bit of chili in here, you'd be good to go. The second breakfast option we have is banana oatmeal. Just mix your instant oatmeal and milk, microwave it for 30 seconds. Now add a banana and it's ready. It's simple and easy. Now let's cook lunch from the prepared dishes. I'm gonna put down some of that lentil rice, a couple handfuls of fresh arugula, some cucumber, cherry tomatoes, and just lightly dress that with salt, olive oil, and lemon, and then cut up a couple of my meatballs. It's like a very hearty, filling lunch. I'm also gonna make a chicken bowl by putting down some of that lentil rice, and adding in some kale that was sauteed with some garlic, olive oil, just some salt for those roasted carrots. Loads, heaps of those onions. They cook down with the chicken, so they have a nice Dijon flavor. They're slightly caramelized. So now I am going to be making lavish salad as my third lunch option. If you cut it up into little cubes, add some olive oil, salt, and pepper, toast in the oven, they become these lovely, basically croutons. It's just gonna add a little bit of crunch to the salad, so it's not boring. So I'm gonna add that, the chicken, some tomatoes, cucumbers, the arugula, and like a little bit of kale, but I don't love raw kale, so I'm gonna chop it up really, really, really fine. And make a little salad dressing up, a bit of that Dijon, some lemon, and olive oil. I don't think salad sits very well in the fridge, so I'll make it today for lunch, and I'll make this again later in the week. It takes 10 minutes to put together. So to finish off the salad, I'm just gonna dress it with the vinaigrette, and yes, the croutons too, with the lavash chips, because they will stay crunchy, but they'll also melt. Like, you want them to soften a little bit in the dressing, so it's not impossible to eat. This is a good day for an outdoor lunch. I have my salad. I'm so glad the feta fit in the budget. The feta does all the work. So now let's move on to the dinner options. I am going to be starting with meatball soup. This is a soup that I make a lot, where in some chicken broth, I'm going to warm up some white beans, some cherry tomatoes, a couple handfuls of kale, the meatballs, and towards the end, I like to add in some tortellini. But because I'm going to be storing some for leftovers, it's good to keep the tortellini separate. Otherwise, if you pack it together, it'll continue to absorb overnight. So add the tortellini just for the portion you're eating now, and then you can add in the rest as you eat the dish throughout the week. So I'm going to take a break from all the meatballs and chicken because I saved one of my spicy Italian sausages. I'm going to make pasta. I'm going to crumble up the sausage, break it up, add in some mushrooms, some garlic. Let it all just come together, get nice and brown and flavorful. And then cook up the rigatoni. The most incredibly important part to make this pasta deliciously is keeping the pasta water, because with my $70 budget, I didn't have money for canned tomatoes. There's no white wine. There's no butter. So we're leaning on very simple ingredients to bring in all of this flavor. And just to keep the meal nice and balanced and something fresh, I have a little bit extra arugula, so I'll use that as a side salad. And just like everything I'm cooking, I'm gonna make 4 portions so we can have 2 for a meal now and 2 for a meal another day this week. It's my favorite meal of the week. This is good. I want to recap all the meals that I made this week. For breakfast, I alternated between having oatmeal with some banana and having scrambled eggs as a wrap. For lunch and dinner, I cycled through these 5 dishes. I had made a meatball bowl, and also with my meatballs, I made a little meatball soup. With the chicken, I had made some chicken bowls. My favorite meal of the week was the chicken salad. That salad will come back. Just to break away, had a little pasta night. I cycled between those 5 meals, between lunch and dinner, and that was a week of eating. $70. So it's been a week of feeding 2 people, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Is it feasible? Absolutely. And at least I live in Los Angeles, there's plenty of grocery stores that are selling affordable produce, that have affordable pantry staples. So feasible, yes. So this challenge is very doable if you don't have a lot of cooking experience, because it's just so little room for error. You just mix, stick it in the oven, you boil something, saute something real quick. And the biggest takeaway is build a good pantry, because pantry goods, they last you for a while. And you buy some good spices, you really should stock your pantry well. And then when you do your weekly shops, you're just grabbing those fresh items, and it helps keep you on a budget, but you don't sacrifice flavor. Because honestly, some of the most flavorful flavorful foods and flavorful cuisines in this world are inexpensive to make. They really just take time and attention to maximize the taste. I'm gonna get a cheeseburger. That's it. Bye.